What's up, everybody? My name is Alex Maurer, and thank you for tuning in to episode number 3 of the MakeEVV show. On this episode, we sit down with Flamion of Ditto Technologies. Now, Ditto is probably one of the coolest new companies in Evansville that most of you haven't heard about. So we're going to change that. We sit and we chat all things Ditto and how they are having an impact on the Evansville community. So without further ado, let's get on to the show.
Luckily, I already pressed record, so that's nobody's listening to this anymore. They've all tuned out. It hasn't even started yet.
Who's the guy responsible for the whole Alex Maurer.
Hey Ryan, thanks for coming on the MakeEVV show. Appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
So we're here at Ditto. Ditto is a very cool place. I love coming here. You guys host events. So obviously I know what Ditto is, but I don't know that the people out there watching really have an idea of what goes on here.
Yeah, right. So we are Ditto, Ditto Technologies, but we also have the website or the e-commerce site, ditto.com, where we sell glasses. And we also have a proprietary virtual try-on technology. We've branded it Making Your Ditto. But what you do is you have a mobile phone or a webcam, and you can take your glasses off and look left and look right, and we'll record it. And through the use of augmented reality, we're actually able to show you any of the glasses that we sell on our site to try on your face virtually before you buy. So it's like a virtual try-on, try before you buy. A lot of our technology engineering comes out of the San Francisco market. And a good way to put it is anything that happens before customer purchases on our site kind of lives in California, but anything that happens afterwards lives in Evansville. That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, the bulk of Ditto is out in San Francisco. What kind of went behind the decision to have your second location here in Evansville?
The idea was that we needed a facilitation spot somewhere in the middle of the country. We sell designer eyewear. And so if you think about where fashion is, or where people who are using eyewear as a fashion accessory, you can imagine New York and LA are like the two hot spots. Of course, everywhere in between. But initially, the idea was we needed a place in the middle of the country that could ship to LA and could ship to New York, where that would be cheaper than, say, having a facilitation out of San Francisco, which would cost a lot of money to ship to New York and LA. So it was kind of initially thought of like a warehousing station, but honestly, as a startup, it's grown into like so much more than that.
Another interesting tie that you have to Evansville, the person who created this place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The founder.
Yes. Kate Dirksen was also known as Kate Indris, when she grew up here in town, but she's from Evansville. And one of the major or deciding factors on where to put this facilitation place was she was going to run the business out of San Francisco, but needed someone she trusted to kind of build up what was going to happen at this facilitation place. Her father, Tom Indris, was recently retired, and was willing, God bless him, to come out of retirement back into the workforce and help start up this other area. So she could trust Tom to do what he needs to do on what we call the operations side here in Evansville, build a team, build structure, and worry about, and she could worry about all the other parts of the business.
You guys are brought in a lot on different things. Evansville is a city that seems like it's going through a lot of change. Trying to have a young mindset. So I know people come into Ditto and talk to your employees a lot about what they would like to see, and through that, I've had a chance to work a lot with with Ditto and trying to figure out what we're lacking and then making an effort to make that a possibility.
Right. Well, I think one major problem that Evansville has, and you can talk to anybody who's ever grown up here, or maybe even parents with kids who've grown up here, is that there is a brain drain. I have plenty of friends who loved growing up here, but yet chose to live in different parts of the country once they decided to start their careers, and that's okay. But it's not okay to the extent that people are leaving. Not even in just people who grew up here, but people who went to USI, like Zach, who wasn't mentioned on the last MakeEVV video, but I mentioned him now. So yeah. So
you plug that in mid-conversation, so there's no way.
There's no way to cut him out. So Zach's a good guy. He's doing good work.
Thank him later, Zach.
Yeah. So yeah, Zach's a great example. I was thinking because he's from Danville, Indiana. We were talking earlier, and I was asking him. He says he's going to graduate soon. Well, what are you thinking? You want to go? And well, he works with you at Gage, so maybe he was given the polite answer, but he says that he wants to stay in Evansville. But that's cool. That's good. That's what we want. So we want people that come here to have that experience that, like, this is a good place to live and this is a good place to start a career. And, I hate to use this term, and we always joke about it in the office because a lot of people I work with are, but millennials, that's overused. But I think the idea is simply that we need younger people to want to stay. And so while Ditto, I think, will do our part to make what I hope is a cool company and a cool company culture and jobs that younger people would be interested in. There's more to it than that, right? I mean, people want to live in a city that they're proud of, and people want to live in a city that has things going on, fun things to do. They want, they don't want to be considered living, growing or settling down in a boring place. So while companies can do, like Ditto can do what we can to, hire smart, intelligent, fun, loving people, which I think we've done a great job of so far. We're looking at things happening in the city and doing what we can to give a voice that these are the types of things that would attract younger people to consider staying here in Evansville or coming back or anything like that.
Like here recently, you had some people from San Francisco come into Evansville and see what the operations were like here. What are some things that you show them?
I feel like you always got to go to some like main staple places like Chironi's is a good place. Everyone's got to try Chironi's once, kind of thing. But there are some unique things about Evansville. For instance, the Haney's Corner. I think the guys ate at Dapper Pig and thought it was fantastic. And we did like a happy hour on the Franklin Street area and bumped around a few bars. And they were kind of excited to see like the whole neighborhood aspect of Evansville and be like, okay, we're going to this area and here's these things going on here, but there's also this area, these things going on here. I think it was more, in their mind, it was more of like Evansville's a tiny little town in the middle of nowhere, but yeah, they could see that we do have neighborhood and community, and we wanted to show them around to different types of places.
So obviously Evansville is you're plugged in. Evansville is a place that's growing. What's something that maybe is on the horizon that you're excited about? Looking forward to.
I guess I want to answer this vaguely because there's so many things going on, but also there's so many people that are making those pushes for things to happen in the city. So, like your work with Parks Fest, which I'm wearing the shirt, by the way. Jason, that's for you. Your work with Parks Fest and, the Franklin Street Bazaar and the explosion of Haney's Corner, like coming from nowhere. I think a lot of work went into it. I shouldn't say coming from nowhere, but now finally settling as like a cool place to be. It's all coming together in different communities and different areas that I think is all going to like kind of really explode with the medical center coming downtown. A lot of people are pointing to that, but I think it's true that that's gonna like take everything and run. Right? Like we're building all these little neighborhood type engagement activities, but yet when we get an influx of like 3,000 people into the downtown area, they're just going to grab what's there and run with it. So it's just an exciting time to see like where we've been and where we're headed to, and it's good to be a part of that.
Very cool.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
Yeah.
So Ryan, thank you very much for coming on the show. Always a pleasure to hang out with you, and always a lot of fun to be.
You're always welcome.
The Ditto space. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.